got the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it cheap. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No.
What's going on? What's going on, man? We live from the boxing section, man. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Man, listen, we got a very, very special guest all the way from the UK. We are now international. You know what I'm saying? This guy, he has great fighters. He's worked with some of the best fighters that we know. Currently, he's working with one of the best heavyweights in boxing. This guy, man, is one of the coolest cats I've ever met in this boxing game, man. He's the COO of S Jam Boxing. My homeboy, man, none other than Shane. What's going on, big dog? How you feel?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
Man, thanks for being on, man. So, me and my man, we met out in Vegas. You know what I mean? We met out in Vegas. Had probably like a 2-hour conversation, man, just about boxing. And so now we want to get into your story, and then we'll get into the boxing after. Just let us know how you got into boxing, where you from, and things like that. So with that being said, man, we got Shane Watson. So tell everybody where you from and how you got into boxing.
Yeah, I'm from London. I was born in Glasgow, Scotland, moved to London when I was very young. I got involved in boxing when I went to university. I've always been a big boxing fan ever since I was a child, but went to university just outside of London in a place called Hertfordshire. I studied journalism media. I started a media channel with my best friend called Paz, which was called PSB Sports. That went quite well. Interviewed some of the biggest names in boxing and MMA, like Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Lennox Lewis, everyone, almost pretty much everyone really there is to have interviewed, really. And I've done that for a few years. I kind of fell out of love with journalism and whatnot. Then I got approached by S-Jam, which Adam Morley, still today there, and Sam Jones was there at the time, and about coming on board and giving them a bit of help, really. So that happened about 3 or 4 years ago. And then I've been there since, and now I've just got promoted in December. So I've been in this new role for 6-7 months now, as CEO of S-Jam Boxing, which is actually taking Sam Jones's role, which what he had when he was here. And so it's moving on with that, and it's going really well, and some good times ahead as well.
So how was the transition from being a journalist to now management?
Well, I never thought I was the best journalist in the world anyway, if I'm being honest. So there were far better journalists than me out there. I mean, I wasn't very controversial, which means it's probably not a great journalist anyway. But, and I felt like what I do have, which is I know boxing inside out, and I study this sport relentlessly every single day. I fall asleep at night listening to boxing, listening to interviews, to keep in the loop with everything that's going on. And I study it all day, that as well. And now I live with fighters day in, day out, like out here in Vegas still with Joe Joyce doing his training camp. We go home in a week. But and I just felt like my attributes and my skills are way better to help manage a fighter's career than what it ever was talking about one on a camera, for example. So I felt like that, and I've been able to learn off some great people as well, because when I came into management, I was a little bit like, it's as much as I know about boxing, there's a lot more that comes into management, like the politics, understanding the governing bodies, understanding what fighters like, what they don't like, sparring, all these kinds of things. There's like a long list of things that you kind of need to get the hang of, really. So that's what happened with me, and I think I'm kind of getting there now. I've done a lot of training camps and whatnot. But yeah, so the transition is it's very difficult, because fighters are very demanding people, very demanding, a lot of the time very sensitive as well, and they require a lot of attention and a lot of care. So it's definitely something that I had to learn quite fast, and something that I feel like I'm getting fairly good at now. Well, I hope they say the same anyway.
So how time consuming is it, man? Being away from your family for so long, and not being able to just go and come as you want because you got to be at the fighter's right side.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Listen, it's sacrificing, isn't it? I mean, this is what the fighters have to do. Like, Joe Joyce missed his best friend's wedding, and things like that. Like, he's missed a lot of family's birthdays, friends' birthdays. Obviously, he would have liked to have been out. Obviously, his girlfriend lives back in the UK. He's not been able to see her. And it's likewise for me, you know. I haven't been able to see family. I've missed a lot of friends' things. I missed. I'm the best man for one of my best friend's wedding, but I didn't miss the wedding. I'll make that, but I missed a stag do, which I was meant to organise and everything like that. It's the kind of sacrifices you have to make if you want to have your dream job. Let's say this is my dream job, and it's Joe's dream to become world heavyweight champion, and you have to make them kind of sacrifices if you want to reach the top and if you want to be in this kind of business, you know.
What do you think is the biggest sacrifice you had to make?
I mean, well, I've like sacrifice. I mean, spending a lot of time. My girlfriend lives in Scotland and whatnot, so like spending time away from them. Like, obviously, family. Like, I missed my dad's birthday. His birthday was in May. Like, it's family stuff. A lot of family stuff, man. I missed a lot of family stuff over the last year or so, and it's not easy. Like, I've got my little baby nephew that's here now as well. I'm missing time with him. Yeah, man, it's not easy, but, you know, these are sacrifices that are worth it at the end of the day. When you go, like, July 2nd, when Joe fights and his arm gets raised, it's the best feeling in the world, and you can't compare to it, you know? So that's kind of what keeps me going when times are a bit difficult. But in fairness, this camp hasn't been that difficult. It's been okay. Like, still speak to family on FaceTime and stuff, so modern day technology definitely does help. But yeah, it's okay. It's all good. It's my dream job. Like, I get to watch Joe spar people like Michael Hunter and other great heavyweights, like 3 days a week. Get to experience the tough training he goes through and whatnot. You got the good sun here. You got Paul here. We've got a lot of good stuff here too. And we do a lot of fun stuff as well. So yeah, it's really fun, man. And I enjoy the experience every day. And I'm grateful for it too.
Yeah, that's dope. Now, we talked about Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Why didn't that fight happen?
The fight is going to happen. It's going to happen in September. The reason why it's not happening now is, I'm being quite brutally honest with you, it's in my opinion just pure laziness from Parker's side. I mean, I think we've been speaking to 3 to 4 months. We all knew the date. The date is always the same. It's going to be July 2nd. His management, David Higgins and whatnot, were all over the place, kept changing what they wanted all the time. Joseph Parker's, I've seen videos of him smoking cigars and whatnot, so I don't know what he's been doing. And he's been in New Zealand for a while. I mean, he was at the Cambosis fight in Australia the other day. So I don't know how seriously he's also not been taking things very seriously. He's not been with Andy Lee for a long time. But for me, it's a blessing in disguise, Joe, to go in and get some rounds under his belt after being out for a year and coming off a broken arm against another decent heavyweight, not world level, but a decent heavyweight that'll give him some rounds. Will probably end up being beneficial in the long run. It's another training camp with Salas, so it's more time for them to gel together and readjust after the long time off. So, in all seriousness, it's probably actually a blessing in disguise for us, really, because Joe is on fire in training camp. He's looking very good, looking sharp, looking powerful, looking strong, looking fit. And he's going to have a chance to go and get some rounds under his belt, so he's not going to be rusty when it comes to September. And that's not to look past his next opponent, but we believe and we know how good Joe Joyce is, and we expect him to get past his next opponent fairly comfortably.
For sure. Were you there when he fought Du Bois?
Yeah.
Okay, now, what was that? I know it wasn't anybody in the crowd, but what was the atmosphere like, just being able to see two heavyweights, see all the punches, hear all the punches, and they had him as the underdog. In your mind, when you guys took that fight, what was going through your mind? Did you think?
Well, it was a strange atmosphere, of course. I mean, originally it sold out the O2 Arena, so it was meant to be 19,000 Brits in there going mental. And obviously you're going in there and you can hear a penny drop, really. The only thing I could hear was Joe's jab, a ramrod in Dubois' face, and really, to be honest, that's all you could really hear was the effect of Joe's shots and the heavy breathing of Daniel after about 4 rounds. He was breathing very heavily in there. I mean, that's the only thing I could really hear. It was emotions were all over the place during the fight. Of course, I saw the amount of work, time, and money Joe had put into that training camp. Obviously, Daniel said some very personal things about Joe's mother, who's blind and stuff, which was disgusting. And obviously, it's a bit of emotion behind that as well because she was actually at the fight. And obviously, it was a hard fight. You're fighting a guy that can punch incredibly hard, young, undefeated, very ambitious. A lot of big titles on the line: British Commonwealth, European, WBC silver, and a WBO international, I think. So a lot on the line. A number one spot in WBO is what the winner got. There's a lot on the line, especially with Joe Joyce being 35 at the time, maybe 34. But yeah, there was a lot more for Joe to lose than there was for Daniel, where Daniel was such a young man, and Daniel was shown on his comeback trail now that he could come back from that, So yeah, it was a lot of emotions, but I was always very confident with what Joe could do. We saw him sparring against some top guys and saw how he's performing in that, and I knew that he could get the beating of Dubois. The only slight worry I had was about the judges' scorecard. If he did go to points, I did expect Joe to stop him anyway, but you've always got to be worried about those kind of things because the scorecards actually had Joe down in round 10, which I think was a bit crazy, but it would have worked out with the knockdown. Let's say Daniel did get up and recovered, that Joe would have been maybe one would have been level. Joe would have been behind on one, but it would have been ahead on one. So, and he would have won 11 and 12 easy if he did somehow stay in there. So I don't think it would have really actually mattered. But yeah, so they're the kind of things that worried me really. The things that we can't control, that Joe can't control the scorecards. That's the only thing that worries me. So like we knew that we gave 100% to Joe in that training camp. We knew that Salas gave 100% to Joe. We know that Steve Broughton did. And more importantly, we know Jay gave 100% in that training camp. So I wasn't worried about him and what performance he could put in. It's more just the scorecards, because we've seen some crazy scorecards around that time, and we've seen him again today, like in the past couple of months, with like Josh Taylor and Catcher and whatnot. And these things can determine people's futures, And I was worried about it, especially where Dubois was such a home favourite, so favoured by BT as well and Frank at the time. But at the end of it, it was probably one of the best nights of my life. So all good in the
end. Did you have? We'll talk about the Josh Taylor fight. Well, before we go there, though, I want to go to. So what he said something about his mom.
So Dubois made a comment. So Joe's mum's blind, and he made a comment at the press conference saying, "You're lucky you're blind because you won't have to see your son get knocked out or something like that." So yeah, he made quite a rude comment about Joe's mum, which, to be honest, I don't think Joe even heard at the time. I think he only heard about it like after the press conference. I don't think he actually heard it. But which is a very rude comment. Listen, I don't mind boxers trash talking each other and whatnot, and you've got a fight to sell, and obviously it's a big fight, so the tensions arising and whatnot. But I think bringing in mothers, and not just mums, into beef, disabilities as well, is completely crossing the line and bang out of order. And it's actually funny how it turned out, because Joe ended up beating Dubois by giving him an eye injury. By an eye injury, right? So it's kind of like karma in a way. So, I mean, I never really believed in karma, but it kind of did after that fight, because it's just kind of weird how it all turned out. But Dubois is a young man. When you're young, you say silly things, you do stupid things. He's inexperienced, probably he's feeling the pressure a little bit. Sometimes you say and do things you don't mean because of that. So I guess that's just all it was. But yeah, me and Joe always wish him the best, and we hope he gets to win this weekend, actually. Big fight for him.
Sure. Now, you talked about the cards with Josh Taylor, right? So I had him winning by like a round.
Well, you had Josh Taylor winning?
By a round. Because
this is quite common in America. Like, I think, what was it on ESPN Plus in America, right? And I feel like didn't the commentators have him? Didn't Andre Ward say they had Josh Taylor ahead as well? I think maybe, and a few other guys. And I see online, I see a lot of people in America had Taylor ahead, and that really, like in the UK, people had like Cattrall 4 to 5 ahead. Like it weren't even a close fight. I find it crazy how people see it completely different across the pond here.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, when I was watching it, because you got, so this is what I always say: you have to beat the champion.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that though. I feel like if you beat a guy, whether it's by 1 round or 5 rounds, you've won the fight. You deserve the belt. That's it. Like, I just don't see why you need to rip a belt away from someone to win a fight. I mean, I feel like if you just do enough to win, you are the champion because you done better than that guy that you fought. What's the saying of having to rip the belts away? So unless you beat the living hell out of someone or knock them out, like, you don't win the fight. And I don't agree with that. I feel like even if you've edged it by 1 round, you've won the fight. And now, obviously, if you win a fight by 1 round, it's obviously going to be very debatable because a lot of the rounds can be close, and some of those rounds were close. So, like, if I think that someone's won by a round, then that means that you can think the other guy's won by a round. So that wouldn't be controversial. But what I do find controversial when someone's been dropped, and for the first time in Josh Taylor's professional career as well, and got outboxed, schooled for 6 rounds, in my opinion. And there were a few close rounds, I'll give you that. There was a few close rounds that could have been swung in Josh's favour, especially on home soil. I'd expect to be swung in his favour. And I don't think Jack Hatchell did finish as strong as he could have. He definitely could have done more in the last few rounds, but he probably thought he had it in the bag because he didn't want to take any risks because Josh Taylor can whack. And I think Jack Hatchell did get hurt with a body shot, maybe like round 8 or so as well. So maybe he was a bit weary because of that. Maybe that took a bit out of him. But I just think if you've won a fight, you've won a fight. Whether you've won it by a round, whether you've won it by 5 rounds, or whether you've won it by 12 rounds. I just don't agree with the whole ripping the belt away from the champion thing because, like, I wouldn't even say that Josh Taylor, he didn't exactly rip the belt away from Jose Ramirez. That was still a fairly close fight, bar the knockdowns. It would have been a level fight in my opinion. And then you've got Josh Taylor against Victor Postol. That was another very close fight. You know, like there were a lot of close fights.
Fight too. I thought Regis beat him though.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought, and Regis Prograis. I can't believe I missed that fight out. Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible close fight. I mean, if that was in America, Josh Taylor probably wouldn't have even got that decision. You know, I mean, one of the UK commentators actually had it 4 rounds to Prograis, which is, in my opinion, that is way too wide. But I mean, that's a UK commentator as well. You know, so I mean, I don't agree that you have to rip the belts away. I just think whoever is the best man on night should be the winner. Hey, what's going on, man? You good?
But my thing is, it's gotta, if it's because it's swing rounds and it's really, really close, it's hard to just, I don't know, man, because that's how I felt with Charlo and Tony Harrison. I felt like Tony Harrison didn't do enough in that first fight to beat him.
Really? I thought Tony Harrison boxed great in that fight, man. You know what? The rematch, obviously, completely different story, but in the first fight, you know what? I rate Tony Harrison. You know what? I think they overlooked Tony Harrison, and that's why the rematch was so different. They didn't respect him, even in the build-up and whatnot. I've always thought Tony Harrison seemed like a cool guy, like, and it was focused and he had the job at hand. I don't even think the brother won that night. I mean, who did he fight? Was it Korobov? I thought he lost as well. I thought Korobov won that fight, man. That was another close fight as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think Tony Harrison did just about enough in that fight to win it. Again, I'm not saying it was one-sided. So I get what you're saying about whole ripping the belt thing away. But listen, if you're edging a fight or winning a fight, you deserve to win at the end of the day. You can't just give the other guy the victory because the other guy didn't win well enough. If he wins, he wins. You know, like, it's not easy for them beating these top-level guys. You know, like, and then rip the belts off of them. Like, yeah, I just think, like, if you deserve to win the fight, whether you've won by round or not, you should deserve to take the belts.
Yeah, most definitely. So you got Joe Joyce, and then you have another heavyweight we talked about that's supposed to fight Chris Lovejoy.
Johnny Fisher.
How do you see that fight going?
Do you know what, man? Honestly, Chris Lovejoy gives me shit on Instagram all the time, but like, I'm not. Again, I hate to disrespect fighters because I'm not one. I'm having a career that I could dream of because of fighters, so I hate to be disrespectful. But Chris Lovejoy is not a boxer, right? Let's just get this right. Chris Lovejoy fights blown up featherweights, a 5'8", 5'9", in Mexico that wouldn't even have a license if they fought anywhere else. That's the only place they can fight because they can't get a license anywhere else. Knocks them out in 1 round because they're featherweights and they're 5'8" and 5'9" and about 4 or 5% overweight. And then somehow gets a WBA ranking because of it. I don't know how that happened. He obviously must know someone in the WBA to have done that. Never beaten anyone with a winning record in his career. Fights up Manuel Shah, which is a major step up for him, gets knocked out in 2 rounds after the most shambolic performance, and goes down really easy. He's breathing heavily after 2 rounds as well. I mean, Manuel Shah's not the greatest operator of all time, but Johnny Fisher, I promise you, would knock him out within the first 40 seconds of that fight. I promise. I would give Chris Lovejoy $5,000 if he could get past 40 seconds of that fight. Because I know he wouldn't. I know that Chris Lovejoy got folded by Tyson Fury like a deck chair in sparring in the first 25 seconds with big gloves on as well. And I know that Johnny Fisher's no Tyson Fury yet, and he's got a lot of work to do to get to that level. But Johnny Fisher, one thing he can do, he's got a good jab and he can fucking whack. And he wouldn't show Chris Lovejoy any respect because he doesn't believe he deserves it. And he would knock him out within 40 seconds. Once he feels that first right hand, he won't want to feel the second. So,
right now, who's your top 5 boxers right now that you like to watch?
what, worldwide or UK?
All around.
So, in no particular order, because I find it quite hard to put them in particular order, but Terence Crawford has to be in there, Elvis Spence has to be in there, Nure has to be in there, Usyk, and do you know what, yeah? He probably isn't in the top 5 yet, but I absolutely believe he will be when he gets the right fight. But Stephen Fulton, I think, will make that within the next year. I think if he gets the right fights and PBC can make the right fights for him, Stephen Fulton, I think he's so underrated. Some of the wins he's got already, even like against Andrew Leo and stuff, that was a great win and stuff. And he beat him so comfortably and stuff. But I won't put him in there yet. So the 5th entry, I would probably go. Well, that's be Canelo, I'd probably say.
Minus the steroids, we'll go Canelo. But
yeah,
I say Jermell Charlo, man. You know what I'm saying?
He hasn't done enough to deserve that yet. He's got a lot more to do and a lot more actual names to beat. I feel like the matchmaking hasn't been great for either guys over their careers. And I know that they get a lot of...
No, not Jamal. I'm talking about the 154.
Sorry?
I'm talking about 154.
Yeah, but they're not fighting the guys to get to be in the top 5. We can't say they've beaten a pound-for-pound star or even been close to fighting a pound-for-pound star in their whole careers. Either of them. So to earn that, you have to be beating top-level guys. All of those guys I just mentioned, apart from Stephen Fulton, but I've not actually put him in the top 5 yet, have beaten top-level guys. Like top-level guys. Guys that are in the pound-for-pound list and stuff like that, yeah? Like, none of these guys have beaten none of them two have beaten anyone near that level. So until then, I can't give them that kind of credit. As much as I rate them, and I think they look very good, and I think they're both extremely talented and got a lot of personality. Until they do, they just cannot make the top 5 list because I don't know what I'm giving it to them for when they haven't beaten anyone at that level yet.
I mean, undisputed, man, it's hard to get.
Sorry?
I said undisputed is hard to get.
Listen, I'm not saying that they're not incredibly talented. They are, but like they haven't beaten the names and the talent, and even in the right ways either, for me to be put on that list. I think they can be. They definitely have the potential to be. Absolutely, they've got bags of talent, but. And this is the problem with PBC sometimes. Like, it's just in-house matchmaking all the time. And they don't get to fight the names that maybe they should and could do. And that's what kind of sets them back. Now, I know that they try to get the Canelo fight because that's why PBC offered a very big offer for Canelo. And that maybe could have changed that. But you know, like I said, I feel like they've both got a lot of work to do before they enter that top 5.
I think Stephen Fulton, man, he gotta be top 3.
What, in a pound-for-pound list?
For sure, man. We're talking like, see, we talking about skill. We talking about resume.
Yeah, mate, superb fighter. And honestly, I'm so excited by him. and he does not get the hype that he deserves. Yeah. Now I don't know whether that's due to promotional company or TV. I'm not too sure why that is, but
I think it's weight. I think it's weight class.
yeah, also weight class will be a major factor of it, absolutely. But incredibly talented fighter, so underrated. I don't hear anyone talk about him really that often, apart from like on his actual fight night. Other than that, I hear no one talk about him, and even then, they don't get that much talk. But it's incredibly talented. But he does need, again, the bigger wins and maybe to go through the weight divisions to kind of cement that kind of legacy. Listen, there are a lot of unbelievable fighters at the moment. That's what it more is, rather than how good these guys are. They're all incredible talents, but there's a lot of really good talent out there at the moment, and a lot of them are achieving big things. Like, look at how Inoue is knocking out these elite level guys, like putting them to sleep within 2 rounds and stuff. You know, look how he tore through the whole World Boxing Super Series. What he did against Emmanuel Rodriguez and Emmanuel Piano and like people like that. You know, like these guys are top level fighters, or at the time they were top level fighters, and they're not the same after they fight people like him. Even Jamie McDonald destroyed him in a round, and he could never really fight again. And he was a very good world champion. Like, you know, so it's difficult to give Stephen Fulton a top 5 rating as of now because of people like that. But that's not because he's not good enough, because he absolutely is. But he hasn't quite got the wins and hasn't gone through the weights to kind of deserve that kind of legacy yet. But I absolutely think he will be able to. Yeah.
I mean, because you think about who he beat. So Angelo Leo was undefeated champion.
Yeah, very good win.
Bro, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the fight with him and Danny Roman.
Yeah. Very good.
Torched him.
Very good, man. Danny Roman's a very good fighter. I saw him fight, actually, a couple of years ago, and he was unbelievable in that fight. I think that was in France, actually. And, yeah, he's a superb fighter. Superb fighter. It's a great win. But he's still got a bit more to do for me to be in the pound list.
Okay. I got you. I dig it. So, what do you think boxing is missing?
I think it's missing consistency with drug testing is a big thing for me. I see a lot of elite level guys that I know are failing drugs tests and taking performance enhancing drugs, and they're getting away with it. I think the consistency of the bans are poor as well. I've seen low level fighters in the UK get banned for 4 years for recreational drugs. But I'm seeing fighters taking PED, performance enhancing drugs, and getting 6 months. So I think it lacks consistency in that sense. I think the politics from the promotional management sides, a lot could change there. That's why we're not seeing some of these big fights being made between PBC and Matchroom because of relationship or top rank PBC. Loads of problems like that, and the only people who are really losing out are the fighters because of the opportunities and the career high paydays. And the fans, because they're not getting to see the best fights. Like, we should be watching Ryan Garcia against Tank, but instead we're watching Ryan Garcia against Javier Fortuna. And that's not the worst fight in the world, but it's not the fights that we should be seeing.
Yeah.
Tank against Wally, it's still a good fight. It was a good fight to watch. It was entertaining, but it's not the fights that we should be seeing Gervonta Davis in at the moment. He should be fighting the other guys, the Devin Haney's, the Ryan Garcias, the Vasyl Lomachenko's, but we're not seeing these fights, and we should be. So that's a major fault in boxing for sure, and I don't think that'll ever really change, to be honest, because of TV, bad relationships between promoters, management trying to control fighters' careers and telling them the wrong things. But they're the major things that I would probably pick on that I would like to change in boxing.
Okay, who do you think is the future of UK boxing?
Oh, we have a light welterweight. So obviously, I'm not going to include my own stable because obviously I see my guys as the future, right? That's why we invest in them. That's why we work hard down inside. But outside of SJAM's youngsters, as it'd be pointless me saying that because it's clear that obviously I think they're going to reach the top. There is a light welterweight in the UK called Dalton Smith. And he is so talented, it is unbelievable. And I just can't see how he doesn't become a multi-weight world champion. Like, if he doesn't become a multi-weight world champion, then something has really gone wrong there. And I don't understand what it is because he's so dedicated. He can punch. He's got ability. He's tough. He's got a great trainer who's actually his father, and Grant Smith. So I'd be very surprised if he didn't reach the very top of boxing because he's an unbelievable talent. And Yeah, so for me, he's the one I'd really look out for. I think he's a WBC international champion now, so, and he's mandatory for the British title, so got some good fights coming up for sure.
Okay. So now we're going into the fun part of the show, right? So you're a promoter. You got Al Heyman, Eddie Hearn. You got Endless Cash. Okay. I need 5 people that you would promote.
Outside of my stable, of course, yeah? Right. So what's that?
We're talking like, if you can get anybody, we're talking like anybody.
I'm not gonna say Eshram fighters because that would make it really boring, all right? Because then that's just like I'm just reading through my own stable. So I would say Ryan Garcia. I just think there's a lot you can do with
You gotta
him.
get him to fight somebody though.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's why I would do it. And he's got the personality, he's got the looks, he's got the age on his side, so he would definitely be one that I would go for. Who else would I go for? I would go for. I mean, it's impossible to not say Tyson Fury, isn't it? So, personality again, so sellable. Got an amazing background story, what he's been through. He's got an interesting style. Can sell out big arenas, so he would have to be one. Gervonta Davis, again, personality, style, can sell. He's got that popular US personality, which I like, which is a bit brash. Who else would I go for? I think maybe one of the Charlos would be quite interesting too. See what you could do with those. I mean, they again a lot of personality. And I would probably round off on someone like. I would like to promote a Scottish talent to come through. So maybe Josh Taylor or Lee McGregor.
Okay.
And that's where I'd finish.
Not bad. All right. So now, fantasy fights, right? You could take a fighter from way back then into a fighter now. Or you could take 2 fighters from back then versus, you know what I mean? Or 2 fighters right now. You could mix it up. So you got your opening bout, you got your co-main, and your main event. What are those 3 fights that you would see that you would want to see?
Opening bout to get the fans interested and get them in their seats. I think I would go Juan Manuel Marquez versus Marcus Maidana. I mean, I think it's impossible for that to not be a good fight. So I'll put that in there first. Get the fans all warm and seated. Then co-main event, I would go Fury versus Joshua. You know, because I just feel like it's a heavyweight fight that I don't think we're going to see, that I feel like everyone deserves to see. And main event, we go Floyd Mayweather versus Thomas the Hitman Hearns, because I think Tommy Hearns could faint the life out of him and stop him. So that's who I'd go for.
You said Tommy Hearns versus who?
Floyd Mayweather.
So you got Tommy Hearns beating Floyd?
Yeah, he'd faint the life out of him, man. He'd faint the life out of him. Show him no respect. And he's got that size on him, man. He's got that length on him, the size. I'd go Tommy Hearns.
Oh, I don't know. So who you got winning the Tyson Fury?
Fury, man. That's an easy fight. Fury.
And then Marquez.
Marquez has got too much for Marcus Maidana, but fuck me, I wouldn't want to fight Marcus Maidana either. That guy's fucking lethal, man. It'd just be such a good fight, and you couldn't really write off any outcome in that fight either.
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out to my boy L Dub one more time in the super chat. Okay, so now we're going. I'm gonna pull up some fights and some performances, and you tell me you pick the winner.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard. The first one this is gonna be tough. All right.
Roy Jones Jr. prime all day long. I don't think anyone could beat him in his prime, if I'm honest.
Okay. Let's see.
Lennox Lewis, my favorite heavyweight of all time. So Lennox Lewis, absolutely. And I just felt that Lennox Lewis almost had an answer for everything. And I just couldn't, as much as I respect and rate George Foreman, I feel like almost that style was kind of made for Lennox Lewis as well. Ooh, that's a difficult one. That is a very difficult one, you know. Prime versus prime, I'd kind of have to say Floyd Mayweather, because I feel like Floyd Mayweather has always said how he learned that style from Pernell Whitaker. And I just felt like he almost perfected that and added a bit more to it. So, and I feel like if boxing on the back foot wasn't working for Floyd, I felt like if it was Pretty Boy Floyd, he could come forward and let his hands go as well. So I'd have to go with Floyd in that one, but this I wouldn't be surprised if it was the other way.
It's tough. It was tough. Just because I want to laugh. Just because I want to laugh, I'm gonna have you pick this
one. Furman.
What?
No, I'm joking.
Oh.
No, I'm joking. No, I'm only joking. Come on, that's the easy one. I want a harder one.
No, I only did that so you can laugh a little bit. That was for laughter.
Come on.
That was for laughter. That was for laughter purposes only.
Oh, do you know what? That's so difficult, man. Oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what? I just said I can't see anyone beating a Prime Roy, so I have to stand by that. But fuck me, man. That Marvin Hagler is one of the, if not probably the best middleweight. Well, obviously not because I feel like Roy Jones, but he has to be up there, man. Like, that guy is just unbelievable. What a tough man as well. Unbelievably tough. But I'd have to back slightly edge towards Roy Jones on that one.
Okay. Now, two wiry fighters. Two great welterweights.
Do you know what's a difficult one, yeah? But I have to back Tommy Hearns on that one.
Oh, shit.
I have to back Tommy Hearns. I feel like the size would be a problem. I think we saw Crawford get tagged by Kavalauskas, which should have been counted as a knockdown, but it wasn't. I think Tommy Hearns' feints were unbelievable. And I think Tommy Hearns just didn't look as good as what he actually was because of who he was up against, in my opinion. So that's a very hard era. I mean, there's never an easy era to be a welterweight or whatnot, but bloody hell, that was a very hard era.
All right, we got three more. Now, these are another tough one. All right, since we picked Tommy Hearns, Crawford.
Marvin Hagler, easy. Easy work. Marvin Hagler again. Okay. There's not a lot of people I would pick against Marvin Hagler apart from Roy Jones, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, that's so difficult, man. I'd have to go Sugar Ray Leonard. I can't lie. I have too much respect for him, man, and I feel like I just feel like I have to go Sugar Ray on that one. I feel like I have to, but there again, that is a very tough pick.
All right, that is the last but not least.
It's a difficult one because it makes me feel really disrespectful. But I have to go with Claressa Shields because women's boxing is so much more competitive these days, yeah? And there's so much more great fighters and so much more females in the sport. It's so hard to compare. When Layla was boxing, like, there wasn't much out there. Like, talent-wise, there wasn't many female fighters, but female boxing has become so big now. There's a lot more talented fighters. Like, look at what Claressa's done. She's beaten some great fighters along the way too. And beating them with ease, in fairness. I don't think she beat Savannah Marshall, in fairness, but right now, going off of what she's achieved and who she's beat, I'd have to go Claressa Shields.
You think Savannah Marshall could beat Claressa Shields?
Yeah, man. That girl punches like a man. I'm telling you, she punches like a man. So that's who I'd have to go for.
My internet was acting up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Man, we're gonna disagree on that one. I don't think she can beat Claressa Shields, man.
I just don't see Claressa hasn't got the punch
yeah.
power. She's not got the punch power to knock someone like Savannah Marshall out. We've seen Claressa Shields hit the canvas before. Savannah genuinely punches like a big punching man, and I can just see that as being a big problem.
So all right, now we're gonna do this. Is gonna be performance. This is the last one, and then we're gonna get out of here. This is performances.
Floyd against Gatti. Oh my god, absolutely.
Yeah. Floyd Gatti.
I think that's still his best career performance of his whole career, anyway.
All right, so here we go.
Davis versus Santa Cruz. Hopkins versus Trinidad. Hagler versus Hearns, definitely. It's an all-time classic.
Most definitely. Well, Shane, man, I appreciate you for coming through, man. Spending some time with us. I know you're a busy guy. We gotta get Joe Joyce in here, man. With you.
Yeah, we'll get him on sometime, man. We'll get on sometime, definitely, man.
Most definitely, man. Let everybody know where to find you.
Yeah, my Instagram is @ShaneWatsonSjam. My Twitter is @ShaneWatson95, and that's pretty much all my social medias that are not just for family and friends. So yeah, that's it.
Give us the next 3 events that you got going.
So we've got Joe Joyce July 2nd at Wembley Arena, then Joe Joyce against Parker after that, and we've got Sol Dakers returning July 9th at O2 Arena on the Chisora undercard, and we've got all of our guys have got some big fights being announced soon too.
So when are we fighting in America with Joe Joyce?
Do you know what, man? It's dependent on what goes on. I mean, if Fury vacates his belt, Joyce is number 2 in the WBC and Wilder's number 1. I mean, I could see that being a fight that would happen in the States. If that fight came across, that'd be a great fight. And then you've got there's other possibilities, but I think that's the main one we would come to the States for.
Okay. All right, man. I appreciate you for stopping by, man. It's always the truth when players meet. Thank you for breaking bread with me, man. And this is
absolutely, man. Take it easy, man. Thanks for having me on, yeah? Thanks for having me on.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate you, man. We'll talk. Hopefully I get to Vegas before you go back home.
100%, man. Take it easy, yeah? See you soon, man.
My man, appreciate it. All right, y'all, man. We are out. Appreciate everybody for stopping through, showing some love, man. L-Dub, Salute T, Big Dog. And we out. We'll see y'all tonight, live from the boxing section.
Out the roots, he let the beats build, bitch. And we never switch. Even if I'm rich, I'll be broke like I'm Mitch. Niggas talking down, but that's headed in the wrong direction. But I knock that shit out like the boxing section. Cause they can't touch what they can't see. All I gotta do is be the same me. All I gotta do is keep it cheap. Always be the same me. While I'm solid, boy, they can't change me. No.